If you think that the Texas law was a bad idea, aping it in California doesn't make it any better. Gavin Newsom puts a gun to the head of the infants in the womb. Well, it's not exactly like that, but I'll explain. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. This episode of Right Angle brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com who fund it with their hard-earned dollars. And they are asking you, through me, that if you would just like this video, subscribe to this channel, get notifications, that will get you on. It's like the gateway drug to membership at BillWhittle.com. And we recommend, as we stand outside the playground fence and lure you in, that you would do that right now.
First one's always free.
That's right. Gentlemen, Governor Gavin Newsom of Bill's home state of California is apparently, according to one news source, Vox.com, is trolling the Supreme Court with a new law that he just signed, which was Senate Bill 1327 in California, that essentially attempts to ape Texas's Senate Bill 8, dealing with abortion. And here's the deal. In Senate Bill 8 in Texas, Stephen Green, basically the state of Texas left the enforcement of the anti-abortion measure, so-called, in the hands of people who would sue abortion clinics. So basically, they attempted to dodge a Supreme Court challenge, and they were successful in doing so. The Supreme Court basically looked at it in a case called Whole Women's Health versus Jackson in 2021 and said, hey, because of the unusual enforcement mechanism here, the Supreme Court really doesn't have anything to say about this. And so you can sue an abortion clinic for violating this Texas law. Well, right after the Whole Women's Health versus Jackson case, back in December, Gavin Newsom tweeted out a message where he basically said, what if we do the same thing with gun control? And so, Steve, Senate Bill 1327 in California now deals with things like so-called assault weapons, guns that they refer to as ghost gun kits, and guns without serial numbers, and basically unleashes private citizens to sue gun manufacturers and gun shops and others who are involved in the distribution of these weapons. Steve, do you think this is going to be a successful way for two things? Number one, for Newsom to get the Supreme Court to take another look at that Texas law, and number two, for Gavin Newsom to become the Democratic nominee for president in 2024.
Yeah, 2024 is going to be a really interesting show. I'll get to that in a moment. Scott, I remember you hosted a show on this Texas law when it was first passed. What was that, 2018, 2019? It's been a few years now, whenever it was. And as I recall correctly, the three of us came to a kind of a consensus on the Texas law that, is well-meaning as the law seems to have been, and as much disdain as I think that all three of us hold for Roe versus Wade as a legal decision, that this is not the way to go about law enforcement. You don't sick citizens against each other with bounties and such. That's not good lawmaking. That's not good law enforcement. Again, it's not about the it's not about the ends here. It's about the means, and those were bad means. So of course, Democrats are going to copy a Republican mistake. They can't get enough of bad lawmaking. And the reason I say that is this is specifically an attempt at trolling, using a state assembly and a governor's signature to troll another state that you disagree with. When we talk about the majesty of the law, this is not what we're talking about. This is the exact opposite of what we're talking about. The majesty of the law is supposed to be what was intended by the Constitution, which is clear lawmaking, through a clear process with clear results that protect liberty and protects rights and clearly defines what is permissible and what is not. That is the majesty of the law. You can know in advance whether or not you're going to break the law. You can judge in advance the consequences, and you have seen the process by which that law came into being. And this is all supposed to add to the majesty of the law. And that's a good, just, and beautiful thing. And now we have lawmaking as Twitter hot takes. Thanks, Gavin Newsom. I hope you are the nominee in 2024 because I can't wait to see you get your you-know-what kicked. Oh, by the way, I've started calling him not the governor of California, but the Prince of Hair. I hope it catches on.
Bill Whittle, in case we thought maybe this was a well-intentioned, legitimate legal approach to doing things, the new law in California, SB 1327, actually includes a provision that says that if the Texas law, SB 8 in Texas, should be overturned by the Texas Supreme Court or by the U.S. Supreme Court, then the California law about gun control is null and void as a consequence of that. So basically, Bill, it almost sounds like a hostage situation.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing things about the woke movement, it's well into its ebb stage, and eventually we'll get to watch it just sort of disappear over the horizon. But I think the one quality about the woke movement will be its utter tone deafness to what people really are thinking. People have rejected this far left philosophy all across the board. They're going to find out just how much in November, but they're absolutely tone deaf on it. So Newsom is doubling down on gun control because he's looking at the Democratic Party nomination in 2024. And he's doubling down on all of these policies that are giving Joe Biden a 27% approval rating. Steve calls him Governor Hair. I call him the $800 haircut. And by the way, just for those of you not familiar with him or ever listened to him, he makes Kamala Harris sound like Socrates. I mean, he's not a super bright guy. No, really. Now, on to the actual law. If this is the case, if a person can sue either a gun manufacturer or a gun store for a crime or a murder that was committed with the gun, then surely I should be able to sue a car dealer or a car manufacturer for anyone who might have been driving a car that killed a loved one of mine in a traffic accident. And likewise, I should be able to sue a bar or the liquor company for any drunk driving accidents or fatalities that happened. And we can play this game all bloody day, Gav. We can just play this game all day.
Well, Bill, let me qualify that by saying it's not just a loved one of yours who was killed in a car accident.
Of course,
if anybody is killed in a car
I can just
accident.
decide to sue them. Right. I don't like drunk driving, so I'm going to sue Ford and Chrysler and Keys on Van Nuys, and all of their car dealerships. Going to sue them because I knew somebody or somebody told me about somebody who was killed in a car accident. So if the person was killed in a car accident, obviously they would not have been killed in the car accident if there hadn't been any cars. Therefore, the accident would have not happened if the car dealer and the car manufacturer hadn't been complicit in this terrible crime. And so we can play this game all day, Gavin. What he's really doing is twofold. What he thinks he's doing is preening himself for the 2024 run, put a little thing on his feathers there, trying to goss himself up. But what he's really doing is raising U-Haul stock to stratospheric levels, because every time this guy opens his mouth or moves his pen, more and more people move out of this state. If it turns, as a resident of California, if it turns out that I hear of a single case where a gun company or a gun store or gun manufacturer is sued using this law, I'm going to file suit against car dealerships and Ford and Toyota and all the rest of them. I'm going to use that same argument. I'm going to sue until either I get my $1 billion or they leave those honest, law-abiding citizens alone.
Well, it's been said, and it is said in this Vox article that I read that this is great that Gavin Newsom is doing this because it is giving the U.S. Supreme Court an opportunity to correct one of the most egregious errors it's made in recent memory. And so that whole Women's Health versus Jackson case in Texas was considered to be a terrible decision by the people who support this. And they're basically saying Gavin Newsom is doing us all a favor and doing the court a favor. Because, how many times does a Supreme Court justice get through, months of deliberation and hours of study and weeks of writing and all that kind of stuff, and then say, boy, I wish I had another bite at that apple. And this is essentially what Newsom is doing as a public service, which I'm sure will usher him right up to the podium at the Democratic National Convention in preparation for the 2024 presidential election. I'll say now, as Steve noted what I said before, as appealing as it was for Texans to come up with a clever way to stop babies from being killed in the womb, it's not the right way to do law. The law should be clear. The law should say what it means, and ideally, a politician who's supposed to be under the law should say what he means as well. If they really want to ban guns, well, then pass legislation banning guns with enforcement by California authorities and let that stand at the Supreme Court and see how long that lasts. If they really want to ban guns, they could do that at the national level in Congress. If they really want to make abortions mandatory, they could do that at the national level at Congress too. But see, they can't do that, because they don't enjoy public support for that. And Bill used just the right word in this case. He's a poser. He's just being a political provocateur here, basically saying, hey, the kind of thing that smartasses do on Twitter every day? I'm now going to do that with the law itself. So as if we haven't cheapened the law enough, let's see if we can do it even more so. If you think that the Texas law was a bad idea, aping it in California doesn't make it any better. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making Right Angle possible.